We've gone in just about every direction you can go with minor chords up through the last 3 or 4 hours here. And yet they're all one idea. And if you're going to think and you're going to play like a professional, you need to see all this information and kind of store it in your mind so that you have all the options and all the choices that you can use there. What I'd like to do is go back and bring it all into one little focal point here, since we have kind of done it piece at a time. And this is something that's not out in left field or anything like that. It's something you're going to have to do every time a minor chord comes up and you want to play something to it. This is sort of like a little computer program you want to run through every time you're faced with a problem, like E minor or A minor. Now, before, when maybe you first started this video, just finding the minor and hanging on for dear life was a good idea, but that's not anymore. We've got a lot of different directions we can go, don't we? Let's go to the board and kind of just take it just a piece at a time and see it from the very beginning. Remember, let's take a project like A minor, just finding the true A minor chord. Once again, we said you could do it on 8 with the A pedal, or 13 with the D lever, or 3 with the B and C pedal, or 3A and B. Now that's the fundamental chords, isn't it? Now we said 3A and B with the 7th string in there. That's what the little W7 means. We didn't talk about that a lot, but we have used it, and you saw it through a lot of the exercises. So let's don't forget that A minor can be made with 3 and B, A and B pedals with the 7th string in there. But overall, fundamentally, these are the right ways to find A minor chord, isn't it? Now, we said these are good for finding the chord, but how many good licks are you going to get out of these positions? Probably not very many. So we said we could change all that. Let's say that's step number 1. Step number 2 you might want to go to it, to be a little abstract about it. Play A minor 7th, or to play it simply, we say throw the A pedal off up here and just find out what you get. We know that A minor truly is the sound of a C chord, or a C on 3 with pedals, or a C on 11, A and F, like that. And this gives us some pretty good position licks, or everyone knows a lick they can play on 8 as a C. Now that becomes A minor, or A minor 7th, doesn't it? Well, so does 3 with pedals. Probably you get a better lick for A minor down here than you would with 3 with pedals. You get a better lick off of either one of these two than this one. I don't know very many licks on 11, A and F that'll do you that much good. Now, this gives you 2 real good choices. You can play the A minor chord and play some licks that truly fit the A minor chord. And like we said, there's nothing wrong with that. So keep those in mind. Those are good. And in matter of fact, you hear a lot of this on records. A lot of times when it goes to A minor, you'll hear the steel player go to 8 with the A pedal and just hang on for dear life. He's not doing anything other than the simplest and the quickest thing he can think of. The next step was to throw that C out. That's where we start getting a lot better licks, a lot better phrases, because you're thinking C, not A minor. You're getting the C in there and playing all different inversions of A minor 7th. And we said once again, that's not worse, that's better. That's got more tension to it. That's an improved sound over straight A minor. Well, this brings us to the fact we can play A minor licks, we can play C licks. This doubles what we know. Let's go to step number 3 back up here on the board. We know that if A minor can be played as chords, then we know that this key has a scale. If we're in the key of A minor, for instance, we're not really in the key of A minor, we're in the key of C because that's a relative major. Well, the relative major is C. The scale of C will give us the good licks we want. For instance, if you want to play nice, pretty melodic things, you can play the little 2 and 3 note scales in the key of C. If you want to, you can play the single note scales. Now, what we want to remember is that the scale we want to be playing is, for instance, in example number 1, if A minor is what we want to play the scale of C. If E minor is something you want to play the relative major, play the scale of G. If you're playing D minor, the scale of D minor is F. Now, a lot of people get these things kind of mixed up. Remember, you want to play the relative major. Always take that A pedal position. And remember, we said from the very start, this is the one that tells us most. For instance, A minor is 8A. When you drop that A pedal off of there, that's telling you in glaring statistics that you want to play the scale of C. You want to play the licks of C. You want to play the positions of C. And this makes you virtually unlimited from beginning to end. Now, if you don't know the scales, it's high time to learn the scales. Isn't that why we practice scales? That's why I gave you the little single note scales for all the G's and the C's and so forth. Single notes are good. You can play single notes or you can play the double notes, depending on the tempo and the style of this song. The main thing is, if you don't know your scales, now's the time to start learning the scales, because that's the reason for scales. They give you all the ammunition you need to start this war and finish it with minor chords. Well, we have one last little thing we want to cover here, because we're dealing with songs. We're not dealing with one chord anymore. We're talking about getting in a band, playing in a band, maybe playing 40, 45 songs a night. Somewhere in all of this, we need to pull together how all the minors fit together. So that's what we're going to do here. Let's go to the board right quick. Let's say we're in the key of C. Good example. All keys can fit this same little formula. We know from just experience and practice that C and F and G are going to happen in the key of C more often than not. Other chords too, but that's the fundamentals of it, isn't it? That's C, F, and G. There are 3 relative minors, and this is the easiest way to look at them. This is the way I see them in patterns. If you're going to start on the 8th fret, you have C on 8, the 8A and B and the 10A and B. It's a nice little tight pattern in it. Well, the 3 relative minors are going to be right there. The regular 6 minor, or the true relative minor, is 8 with the A pedal right there. Well, we could run up to 13A and say in 15A and find the other minors, but they're right here. They're right underneath all these others. You could play the D minor as 8, B, and C. Notice how close it is. 8 with the A pedal, 8, B, and C. But there again, you've got to move your feet, don't you? That's not such a good idea, but we said you could throw that out because D minor really is the sound of F, since 13A and 13 are the relative positions. Then an F down on 8 is the same thing, so you could play the relative minor as either 8 or 8A for A minor. You could play D minor as 8, B, and C, or 8A and B, or you could drop that back 2 frets. That's where that D minor could be found another time with the 6D. Probably the easiest one is going to be 8 with the pedals down. When it goes to E minor, you only have to move 2 frets. You could go up to 10, B, and C, but there again, you got to move your feet, don't you? You could go up to 10A and B and play the minor 7th, which gives you some pretty good licks. So here's what we find. Really, this is the way to look at it. 8A, you might want to play the true minor there or play just C. Just push the pedals down, you get 8 with pedals. For the other, or like the 3 minor chord, this is the 6th, the 2, and the 3 minor, 8A and B. Of course, you could stay right on 8 and hit the D lever. But here again, what we have is a D lever position, which are not very good licks to us. What all this boils down to is, in the key of C, we can play the 3 major chords as 8, 8 with pedals, 10 with pedals. In reality, you can play the 3 minor chords the same exact way. This would sound like A minor. This would sound like D minor. This would sound like E minor. So we don't really need all this information at all. All we really want is 8 with pedals. 8 with pedals give you both the minors there. 8 without the pedals will give you the minor 7ths in every case. So this serves as 3 majors, 3 minors. Now, once again, looking at it down here, there's another way of seeing it. This is the C. This could be really C, and then it should say A minor 7th. This is F, and this should say D minor 7th. Quite all right. This is G, and this is E minor 7th. The whole point of all this is to make it easy, is to make it quick. When in doubt, get in one position, like in the key of C, get on the 8th fret and play C, F, and G. And when it goes to a minor chord, push the pedals down, play the minor chord or the minor 7th there. That sounds right. The idea of chasing the minor around is a last resort, not the first resort. That's the last resort when you've run dry of regular scales. And usually we do it the other way around, don't we? We always end up doing it the hard way first. Chase that minor. No, we don't need to, because I've just told you, you get all 3 relative minors in exactly the same position as the majors were. But the best choice of all of this, without a doubt, is remembering what key you're in and know the individual single note scale, know the individual double stop scale, or like the scale that's on the 3rd and 5th string, or the scale that might be on the 5th and 6th string, and use that root or the tonic scale to play all of those other minors. And that's what makes you unlimited. That's what gives you that professional sound. And people can tell when you're chasing the minor around, they can tell you're chasing, you're looking, you're searching for that minor chord position. It's not fluid, is it? Because you're in one position, all of a sudden you're jumping to the other. Why do that when you can stay almost in one spot and play the scale and play every chord coming up? And it's almost like this. Let's say we have a song that has, 6 or 7 chords in it. Let somebody else chase those 6 or 7 chords around, And all you're doing in your mind is you're going to say, I'm in the key of C, I'm going to play C scale. And all you do in your mind is play in C that whole song. Let everybody else chase the chord. You play in C, and it'll become a lot better ideas, it'll become a lot better frets. It'll be a lot easier to jump from one chord to the other because literally you're not jumping at all. It all rolls free, and that's what shows up in your playing. That's the professional sound right there. Get all this in mind, and every time you run into a minor chord, kind of take these steps and do these little mental 1, 2, 3s and find which is the easiest for you. But remember, they're all choices, and you want to make all those choices before you play anything and find out which is the easiest for you. That's it. We'll come right back and take a nice little project.